ఒక నిమిషం ముందు వస్తారు అనుకున్నా. వాళ్ళు వచ్చేప్పటికి మనం రెడీగా ఉండి కనబడుతుంటాం. వాసుదేవ. హరి ఓం. శం నో మిత్రస్యం వరుణః శం నో భవత్వర్యమా శం న ఇంద్రో బృహస్పతిః శం నో విష్ణురుక్రమః నమో బ్రహ్మణే నమస్తే వాయో త్వమేవ ప్రత్యక్షం బ్రహ్మాసి త్వామేవ ప్రత్యక్షం బ్రహ్మ వదిష్యామి ఋతం వదిష్యామి సత్యం వదిష్యామి తన్మామవతు తద్వక్తారమవతు అవతు మాం అవతు వక్తారం. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. ప్రాచ్యపాశ్చాత్యదేశానాం సమన్వయ విధాయకం శాంతం సౌమ్యగుణోపేతం కృష్ణం వందే జగద్గురుం. ఓం అస్మద్గురుభ్యో నమః. Welcome to all our brothers and sisters. So in our study of the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, we are studying with more details about non-attachment or vairagya. So since Patanjali has prescribed us to make use of two instruments, abhyasa and vairagya. That means repetition of the effort, which is called abhyasa, and vairagya is non-attachment. So to a greater extent we have studied what is abhyasa with some examples, and we are trying to practice the use of these instruments. Now we are studying about Vairagya, non-attachment. So in the Aphorism 15 it was explained by Patanjali that Vairagya or non-attachment is the quality which shows the sign of transcendence in a person who is away from the thirst for something seen or heard through aptitude. That is the definition for non-attachment or Vairagya. So in the Vairagya, once again, there are two types of Vairagya which we are studying from the Aphorism 16. In Aphorism 15, he has defined what is Vairagya, what is non-attachment. And in Aphorism 16, he is explaining about the higher type of Vairagya. There are two types of Vairagya as being explained by Patanjali. One is the higher Vairagya. That is what is called Para. Para means highest. Highest form of non-attachment is called Para-Vairagya. And so he is first explaining about this Para-Vairagya in 16th aphorism. So the highest form of Vairagya or non-attachment is the dropping off of the desire for qualities. And this is realized by establishing the consciousness in the spiritual man. That is what we are studying. With some examples also, last time we have seen some examples. So here it is Guna Vaitushnya. That is what is given here. Guna Vaitushnya means losing thirst for qualities. Losing thirst for qualities, that is the main aspect of this highest form of Vairagya, Para-Vairagya. So losing thirst for qualities, Guna Vaitushnya, how we can get out of the thirst for qualities? We have seen some examples last week. I hope you remember the example of banana, which is a well-known example to everybody, the fruit banana, or any fruit. So that example also we have discussed last time. So now let us come to ourselves, because this Para-Vairagya or highest form of non-attachment is to get to the spirit or the real man, the spirit consciousness, that is Purusha Khyati. So we have to, how we can practically do that? So, first you question yourself. So, for example, if I question myself, who am I? Question myself, who am I? So, in my case, if I question myself, who am I? Then the answer comes, either I may express the answer or to myself, and I am Ananta Krishna. then is it only the name, or is it really the one who is dwelling, who is the indweller? So, what I call I am, is not the name. Name only just is an indicator. So, if I say who am I, if the answer is that I am Ananta Krishna, but that answer is only to indicate, but it is not the real answer for that question. Because name is also a quality, a part of the quality, a guna. So, quality cannot be our real existence. Attribute, quality means attribute. So, an attribute cannot be our real existence. So, therefore, once again, so first of all, I say, oh, this is my name, Ananta Krishna is only my name, but not myself. So then again, who am I? Once again, question. I question. So then the second time when I question, I stand before a mirror. Because for this experiment, it is best for everybody to stand before the mirror. Huh? So in the mirror, you can see yourself, asking yourself, who am I? So, Ananta Krishna. So this is not my name. Then who am I? Once again you ask yourself, you can see in the mirror, who am I? So then I can see my image in the mirror. So who am I means my shape, my appearance, all these things. But this is only image, this is not myself. So it is also eliminated. This is not myself, it is only my image, my appearance. It's my appearance, the face, and what I wear, the color and all these things. This cannot be myself. It is not real myself, it is only my image. Okay, then I bring a machine to measure my weight and stand on it and see. So it shows that I am something like 70 kilograms or something. Then I see, is this 70 kilograms is myself? I am? No. Can I say I am 70 kilograms? How can it be? It is only showing the weight. It is also not the weight of I am. How can you measure the weight of I am? You cannot. Because this is also weight. The weight of the body also is a quality. Quality is not myself. So this is the weight of the bones, and the flesh. All these things put together, it is showing 70 kilos or something. So this is once again. Then in the mirror I see, oh, so then this is also not I am, myself. So then what? Then for a few minutes, yes, now I know. What all I am thinking that this is myself. So this is, what I am thinking is I am. What I am thinking is working of my mind. So, if I say my mind is myself, the I am, then it is as if I say the shirt which I am wearing is I am. How can this shirt be I am? Only I am wearing this shirt for now. Afterwards, I can remove it. Then I am is gone. When I remove the shirt, which I am remove the shirt, or I remove my glasses, then can I say that I am is gone? No, because even I take off the glasses also I am here. Even I take off my shirt also I am here. So that itself she is showing that this is not I am. So similarly, my mind also, my mind is an instrument with which I keep thinking. I produce some thoughts. But that is also an instrument. That is not I am. Then little bit go further. Oh, then I have a faculty. What is that faculty? To discriminate what is good, what is bad. Oh, very good. That faculty is there So that faculty is not the mind. But that faculty also is a guna, is a quality. That cannot be I am. Then I will say that, well, but I have intelligence. Because with intelligence I can do many things. I am intelligent, therefore I can make discrimination, what is required, what is not required, and all these things. I can use my intelligence, I can know whether the other person is good or bad, all these things. So, this intelligence is I am, no. Intelligence is also a quality, a guna. How can it be I am? It is not the inner person. Purusha, it is not the Purusha. It is not the Purusha Khyati. In this aphorism it is given Purusha Khyate. So Purusha Khyati, so that is not the Purusha. My intelligence is not myself. But most of the people in the daily life, in the mundane world, they feel that they are living due to their intelligence. No. So, my mind is not myself, I am. My discriminative faculty is not my I am, it is also only a faculty, an attribute. Guna. Guna means quality. Okay, then what about my logic? I have my own logic. So can this logic be I am? I am the logic? No. I have my logic, but I am not I am. You cannot say logic is I am myself. No. Logic is my logic. I have my logic. So you cannot. Then I think, oh, then, but what about my education? I have some degrees. I have studied in the university, I got degrees, post-graduation, graduation, post-graduation, and doctorate, all these things. Oh, I am a doctor also, but this is also my quality, but not myself. So this is not required. This is required only to use for some work, but to know myself, who am I, this is not useful. So then what? So then maybe my body, the color of my body and the shape of my body, I am very beautiful, all these things. But these are also qualities. Whether I am beautiful or whether I am ugly, whatever it may be, my appearance, beautiful or ugly, but this is also a quality. It is not myself. All these are qualities. So then if we start analyzing and thinking like this, gradually we travel inside to the point of I am, which is the inner light. And during this process, we lose our thirst or aptitude for these qualities. Before this practice, before we started to repeatedly practicing non-attachment, always we are thinking of all these qualities and don't know who am I. If you don't know, if I don't know who am I to myself, how can I know what the other person is? Because I use the same process with the other person. When I remember that I am a doctor, then I remember the other person also as a doctor or as an actor, whatever it may be. But I cannot have a chance to experience the inner light of the other person also. When I can't do it myself, I cannot do it to other person. What for all this? I have to practice. What for? What for? To get suspended. What is required for us is, if you want to be stabilized in the yogic state, we have to get the behavior of the mind suspended. That is the goal. So the behavior of the mind is to be suspended. Yogaha chittavritti nirodhaha. Yoga means suspension of the behavior, chittavritti, behavior of the mind. That is yoga. But for this process, to attain this state of suspension of the behavior of the mind, it is required for us to apply these two instruments, abhyasa or repetition, and vairagya, non-attachment. So in this non-attachment, how we can, unless we know very precisely what is non-attachment, we cannot apply the instrument. Suppose you have given a machine to me, which is new to me. If I don't know how to operate it, I may block it and make it inoperative. So therefore I have to know, I have to get familiarized, I have to know how to use, how to operate this, and then I can operate to get the proper result. In the same manner, with this machine also, these are all instrument, the machine. So it has its quality and guna. So unless I know what I am, unless I experience what I am, how can I get stabilized in that Lord consciousness? This I am, which is there in every person, is called the spirit. So this is Purusha Khyati means this inner person or the spiritual person as the spirit. That is Purusha Khyati. And this can be attained, we can get into the experience of the inner light only by transcending our thirst for the qualities, guna vaitushniyam. Because unless we transcend, we get above these qualities, with our thirst for qualities, we cannot experience this what we call I am, either in me or in you or in anybody. Because that is the same. What we call I am in me or what we call I am in any one of you, in no way it is different from each other. So I am is always singular. That is what is mystically called in the scriptures. It is expressed in a mystic manner that I am that I am. Because whenever the Lord descends into form and speaks to us, then He says, I am the way. And He says, you surrender yourself to I am, to me, the I am. That means it is the Spirit or the I am. So to realize this and to experience this, we have to get over or transcend our aptitude or our thirst towards the qualities. To experience the same I am in anyone, in any object or in any person. That is the aim of us, to get into this state. So, in this manner, when we go analyzing, go inner and inner, then we go nearer and nearer to what we say I am. Then all these things which we call our body, our senses, our mind, our intelligence, all these things are like these are the layers around this I am. The layers, these are only the layers. But none of this is the real I am. So these are all layers formed around this I am. But the very mystery is, these layers form the part of the I am, but not real I am. How can a part be the whole? The I am is the total, the whole, which is experienced as I am, is the totality. But any part or any layer cannot be the whole. You take the example of an onion. Most of the people, it is a part of our daily food, onion. If you observe the onion, what do you call onion? So first you just rub like this, you get a layer. Very, very thin peel, you peel it off. Once again you have another peel, another layer, peel it off. Another layer, peel it off. Go on eliminating all the layers in the onion, and ultimately what do you get there when you eliminate all these things? Nothing. No material. There is no material, anything inside, like a capsule, like an onion. Isn't that? Then where is the onion then? Can you call any one of the part of the peel an onion? It is only a layer of onion, but it is not the onion. Where does this onion exist then? It exists as the totality in which all these layers are formed. And that which is called I am, this is called I am. Onion is also a name, an attribute. To itself it is not onion. To us, it is, we call it onion, but to itself it is, what is it to itself? What is the, you put a question, you hold an onion, is onion to itself? No, for itself it is not onion, it is onion for us. We call it onion. Everyone can call it in their own language. In English it is onion, in our language it is ulipaya. So you have all these synonyms in our language. So therefore, that itself is indicating that it is only an attribute. But then what is actually onion? To itself what it is? To itself it is I am, just like I am to myself I am. So to myself when I travel to the inner core, keeping aside all these layers which are attributes or gunas, go inside. There you will experience, what you experience there is the same thing what you can experience anywhere. Little bit appears to be difficult because we are not very familiar with this, we have not practiced this. If we go inside and inside, just not the physical matter, the physical matter ends after a certain time, and then trans-physical. The senses, the sense organs are physical, senses are not physical. And the mind which works through senses is also not physical. And the intelligence or power of discrimination higher to the mind is also not physical. So go higher and higher, or inner and inner. What is there beyond this? So, because we are existing in the mundane world, so always we are in the physical experience. We see something, we hear something, we smell something, we taste something, we touch something. So constantly we are in the physical, and in the physical also the experience what we are sensing through this, once again it is not physical. It is some experience beyond physical. So therefore you have to go through, you have to travel from physical inside towards senses and mind and intelligence and all. So we have to say, but how can we differentiate between what I am and all these layers? Very simple. What is very simple? I can say I have a body. Is it true or not? Yes, it is true. I have a body, it is true. I have my hands, I have my body, I have a shape of the body, I have volume, I have weight. I weigh, my weight is about 70 kilograms, so my weight, my volume, the color, all these things, body. So with all these things I have my body. Okay. Is it enough if I have only my body? What about the functions of the body? So there is something more than the physical matter. That is what the operating of senses. Through the sense organs, these are 5 senses that are working. So therefore, then I can say, I have my five sense organs, my 5 senses. Okay, that is true. There is nothing problem, no problem. Yes, I have my senses. And through the senses, what is happening? We are sensing, we are in touch with the outside world. And what is that? It is touching the outside world through the senses. That is also another faculty which we call mind. So nobody can deny about the existence of mind. Can anybody deny that I have no mind? I have a mind. It is true. That is perfect. That is correct. I have senses. I have mind. And then don't stop there. So beyond the mind there is some faculty with which I can discriminate. This is good. This is bad. This is useful. This is not useful. All these things. So this faculty, I can say this is my intelligence. I have my intelligence. Correct. That is also correct. But don't stop there. Still travel beyond that. And then what I find, then I say, oh yes, this is I am. Yes. So do you have some name for this? Yes, of course. What we call the soul or spirit. Then I can say, so I have my soul. No. But all these things you have accepted. I have my body, I have my senses, I have my mind, I have my intelligence. Yes, that is correct. But then why don't you accept if I say I have my soul? No, I am the soul, not I have. This makes all the difference. See, I am the soul. Then if you ask me, are you the soul? No, not you. I am the soul. If I am the soul, then what about you, whom I see before me? There also it is the I am only. Soul is I am, not you or he or she. No, I am. There is only one expression to this soul, is I am. No other thing. When I say I am, you also say I am only. Yes, everybody say I am. Of course, everybody says I am only. Suddenly if I ask you, who are you? Yeah, I am. First you say I am only. Who are you if I ask you? Then you say I am Laisan. You will say Laisan afterwards. First you say I am. Immediate reaction is I am Laisan. I am Ananta Krishna. I am Alice. So I am. So you see, whether I or you or she or he, anybody, first immediately we utter I am only, whether we know it or not. Just like how a child, newly born child, while making inhalation and exhalation, is inhaling only oxygen and exhaling only carbon dioxide, even without knowing. The child cannot know what is oxygen, what is carbon dioxide. But no problem, the child inhales only oxygen, exhales only carbon dioxide. When we are grown up into adults, then also we have to inhale only oxygen we have to exhale only carbon dioxide. Of course, we may inhale some other gases also because of pollution, but our existence is possible only when we inhale oxygen. That is quite evident. Before we know it and after we know it. It makes no difference. In the same manner with I am also. Even the child also, you observe the child who is not yet taught anything about anything, the child started to speak. Then what the child says? Mom, I want to eat. Then you ask the child, what is this I? What is this I am? Mom, I am hungry. If the child says, you ask the child, what is this I am? Then the child says, what is this question? I am hungry, yes. The child says, I am hungry. I want to eat. And if you ask, who is this I who wants to eat? Then what is this stupid question? The child will immediately think, what is this stupid question? I am hungry, I want to eat, I am eating. So, from that stage where nothing is yet not taught, even the alphabet is not taught, just very recently the child started to speak. And the child says, I want to eat, I want to eat. I am hungry, I am hungry. How can? Even afterwards, so the child is like that. And what about us? We are grown up, we know so many things. We know yoga, we know this science, we know that science. Even then, when I am hungry, I say, I am hungry. So you are uttering the same like a child. You have to, you see? Can you utter any other word when you are hungry? After another 1 hour, I say, after this lesson is over, I go into the table and say, I am hungry. Oh, but this the child who started to speak also says the same, I am hungry. After all these years, I am grown up, I am now entered 70. Even now also, I am also saying the same as the child. Yes, you have to. So this I am. So this is only real thing. Purusha Khyati means this is the exact meaning. What Patanjali says in this aphorism, Purusha Khyate. Purusha means this I am. So our master has taught us Purusha Sukta. Most of you, including myself, we every day chant Purusha Sukta. What is this Purusha? Means I am. This is the one I am in all, one common factor, one common I am in all the universe. That is called Purusha. Purusha Khyati. All the other names are only attributes. But I am is one I am, that Purusha. It may be, the form may be different. It may be a mosquito, or it may be scorpion, or it may be a snake, it may be any animal, it may be human animal. The form will be different, but I am. So you have to come nearer and nearer and nearer to that, and then get into that I am. So what is I am then? It is the real existence. It is the real experience. It is the real light. We have to keep meditating upon this inner light. I am that I am. Whatever you are doing, so all that we perceive, all that we see with our eyes, all that we hear through our ears, all that we smell, all that we taste, all that we touch, through all these 5 receptors, what is that we are receiving is only that I am, but all the other things are layers around this I am. All these are layers. So, when we are smelling something, the smell is reaching. Where it is reaching? Is I am only. It is touching the I am. Experience is there. Banana, we call banana, when we smell, it is touching this experience level, this I am. So this is the receiving pole. So in this receiving pole, this receiving, this is what is called the negative I am. You can call it a negative I am. I hear some sound. If there is no sound, what can I hear? Because there is some sound, then I can hear through my sense of hearing. If there is no sound, what can I hear? I am able to see something. If there is nothing, what can I see? So all these are, when there is light before the eye, then the eye can catch the light. If there is no light, what can the eye do? So, all these, if we say this negative I am, which we feel I am, every moment we don't mean the real I am. In our daily practice, around us, we use all these things and we say I am, I am seeing, I am looking, I am eating, I am smelling, I am thinking, all these, but we don't mean this real inner light all this time. The inner light is the real I am, or the positive I am, and all this is the negative I am, which we feel that this is I am. None of this is real I am. But all these things are the layers around this real I am. So what is this fellow doing who is dwelling inside, so deep inside? So he is working as the power of sensing, the power of sight when you are able to see something, the power of hearing when I am able to hear something, the power of smelling when I am able to smell by something, the power of tasting. So all as a power through all of this I am is working. That means he is shining out, he is glowing out as his power through all this. So this fellow is I am, is working, is glowing out, is working. For example, through nose, he is working as the power of smelling. But this nose cannot smell him. You see, once again, just come more deeper. Can the nose taste, can the nose smell him? Who is smelling through the nose? Can you say that your nose is smelling? If nose is smelling, then nose can be able to smell all the times, but not when you are sleeping. Your nose is there. Is it smelling? When you are awake also, when due to some reason your nose is blocked, then and when under certain circumstances, like when you are attacked by some virus like this corona, so even though you are inhaling and exhaling, your nose is not using, you are using the nose, but you don't feel the smell. So is it your nose that is smelling, or is there somebody else who is smelling through your nose? You have to accept this. You cannot say that my nose is smelling. You cannot say that my tongue is tasting. If your tongue is paralyzed, no more taste to this tongue. Huh? My eye is seeing, my eye is looking. Your eye is looking. If there is some layer before the eye formed, then you cannot see anything. So, we have to realize that my tongue cannot taste the one who is tasting through the tongue. My nose cannot smell the one who is smelling through the nose. Nose means sense of smelling. My ears cannot hear the one who is working as the hearing faculty through the ears. My skin cannot touch him who is working as a faculty of touching, sensing. So the real one who is working through all these things cannot be seen, cannot be heard, cannot be smelt, cannot be touched, cannot be tasted. But he is working through these as a faculty of touch, faculty of hearing, faculty of smelling, faculty of seeing, all these faculties. He is working through all these things, but he cannot be sensed through all this. You see? Therefore, now we accept that there is the one fellow who is the indweller, who is the real one, whom we call the spirit or the soul. All these years since our birth, since we feel that we know everything, we know ourselves, we know everything, but now you know, but we don't know anything. We don't know him who is the real one in us. Only we are making attributes to him. And we make attributes. She is my wife, he is my husband, he is my son, he is my friend, he is my enemy, he is my officer, he is my subordinate. Like this we make all the attributes, but all these years, all this time, we don't remember that the real existence is this fellow. We have to apply this. So we have to make this analysis. But unless you have the synthesis, you cannot make this analysis. Unless you know the arrangement of all these layers, how they are arranged, you can analyze all these things. Just like in the onion, or you may take also, why onion, you may take better example, a rose flower. It has so many petals. You take out one petal, is this the rose? No, this is only petal of the rose. So you take off all the petals, peel off all the petals from the rose. Where is the rose? No rose is there, because all the petals are taken off. But of course all these are petals. Yes, that is true. But the arrangement of all these things, the synthesis, all this synthesis gives you, which we call rose, the form of synthesis. So in this example of ourselves also, unless you have the synthesis, experience of the synthesis, you cannot make the analysis, real, proper analysis. You can make an analysis like peeling off the petals of the rose, but you cannot achieve anything by this. So all these, before we started to study this, all the time, we are only transacting with all the images, not with the real I am, the image, which is an attribute. So that is why I told you, you stand before the mirror. We stand before us each other. Why mirror? We are standing before each other. I am sitting before you, you are sitting before me. We are talking to each other. Why mirror? I told mirror because if we stand before each other, then I say, oh, you are Lyson, you are Peter, you are Alice, and you say you are Ananta, but you are disturbed. So go into the room, stand before the mirror and put the question, who am I? Then it starts. You have to make an experiment to know, because what is meant by this aphorism of Patanjali, what is higher vairagya, what is non-attachment, we have to make this experiment to reach the positive I am. So, who is this positive I am? It is the one inner light from where all this radiation is going out in the form of light, which is called our intelligence, which is called our mind, which is called our body, which is called our senses. All this is all radiated out from this inner light. All our ego, which we call ego, I am. Ego also. What is this ego? It is the reflection of the I am. So, therefore, inside all these things, there is the one who is existing, that is the I am. How can he believe? You need not believe. Don't try to believe anything. No need to believe at all. Why should you believe? It is not a religion to believe or disbelieve. Whether to believe or disbelieve, this goes to religious, but it is not religion. It is pure, just pure science of the I am. No need to believe or anything. Every morning the sun is rising, do you believe? Why should you believe? Don't believe it. You can experience it. If I put you a question that do you believe in sun? What is the stupid question? It is the most primitive question. Why should you believe? When you are able to experience it, why should you believe? In the same manner, the inner light, the I am, I don't believe that I have the inner light. Yes. You don't believe it because it is not I have the inner light, I am the inner light. You say I am, don't say I have. You say I am, that's all. What is there to believe it? Why should you believe? There is no question of I am of one religion or I am of another religion different from another religion. There is no question of religion or belief and all these primitive things. It is the real truth, I am. So Patanjali is trying to bring us to this one truth, the I am in us. What is this I am? So Guna Vaitrushnyam, that is what is explained in this, what is mentioned in this aphorism is Guna Vaitrushnyam. Trishna means thirst. Vaitrushnya means getting away from the thirst towards the gunas or attributes. Purusha khyate. When can you get this Vaitrushnya, or when can you get out of the thirst? Is when you are more and more focused on the Purusha. Purusha khyati means more and more knowing about Purusha, the light, experience of the inner light, which is called I am. That is the only truth. So then when you start practicing this, so that is why abhyasa. Repeat this again, repeat, until you reach certain stage where you can experience the same I am when you think of you, when you think of others. When you can reach this I am, that is where you have to land. So then what happens? When you speak as I am. When you listen to others speak as I am. Listen as I am. Then what happens? If you receive anybody and you start speaking to the other person, then you are speaking as I am. Then what happens? The other person also, because inside the other person also it is the same I am existing, and since you are standing as I am in yourself, and your light is focused into that light, and because that is also the same light, then there is a transaction between two lights. But just for convenience we say two lights, but light is only one. In this room, for example, I have arranged 4 bulbs, but we say 4 lights, but not 4 lights, light is only one. Many words we use just for our convenience, but in true sense, there may be 100 bulbs I can arrange to have more illumination. Then if I say there are 100 lights, then it is not true. There is only one light through 100 bulbs. Do you understand now? Light is only one, glowing through 100 bulbs. That is the truth. One bulb may be of high power, 1000 watts, power. One bulb may be very small, only 6 watts or something. That is okay. But then what we say, oh, this is bigger light, this is smaller light. This bigger and smaller, the only attributes are quality. Light is only one. You see? These are all experiments which you have to make in your own laboratory. There is no need to fix some big machines in the laboratory and go and you have a wonderful laboratory. You make these experiments in this laboratory and see. So now you can see all these are, you say all these are many lights, but scientifically speaking, these are all different, many bulbs through which there is only one light. Light is one. And that is what is called the I am. That is what the Lord says in the scriptures. I am singular. I don't admit plural. I don't admit plurality. When you read the scriptures, it may be Bible or Bhagavad Gita or in whatever it form, whatever language, but the essence is the same. I am only one. I admit no plurality. So that means this is the meaning. But unfortunately it is wrongly translated because they are considered as books of some religious books. That is the reason. They are not religious books. So this is Purusha-khyati. Purusha-khyati, what he said, the experience of the I am. So then what happens if we come to this point, if we come to this experience, then we stand out of this bondage. So whether you are transacting with your children, whether you are transacting with your friend, whether you are transacting with all these relationships or in the office, wherever. So all this, when we practice this constantly, and repeat this constantly, this is effort, then we get into this experience of non-attachment, vairagya. This is vairagya, but not getting away from this. Escaping is not vairagya. Experiencing the one light is vairagya, but not escaping from it. So when you get this into this experience, then you can realize that so should we live according to the expectation of the other person? No need. You will only realize that what is needed for you is the same thing is needed for the other person. What is the need of what I need for me, also it is needed for the other person. That is the only thing. These are called the needs. This you will remember when you more and more you are in this experience. Then when you see all beings, then you will remember needs that the same is the need. If I am hungry, I have to take food. That is what I have to do. Same thing for other person also. Maybe a human being, maybe a bird, maybe an animal, maybe a plant, whatever it may be. So therefore, there is no need for making like a slogan. Huh? See how political people make slogans that there is no need for that. Only just what is required is, if you remember the need of yourself, then you also remember the needs of others, which are the same. So there is no much thing to discuss. Only this is very simple. You may discuss about the I am for many days and hours and days and months, but all this is only very simple. If you want to discuss, you want to bring this and this, but the essence is the same. So when we use abhyasa, when we make repeating this effort, then we start living as I am. Without this differentiation, living as I am means you live naturally as I am, and when you see other persons around you also, you will feel the I am only, that's all. Then there is no question of he is a friend, he is an enemy. All these things will not exist. So we stand as the positive I am, the real I am. And all the other things which forms the negative I am, that means if we feel very enthusiastic or very happy when everything is going according to our wish, and if I feel very much depressed if something is going against my wish, all these things will not exist for such person. Because he stands always as the I am, the Ishvara. Ishvara means the Lord consciousness. He stands in that light, one light. So therefore there is no fear for such a person. Otherwise what happens? If I do not stand as the inner I am, if I am stuck up in my mind in all these layers, without any effort or practice to reach this I am, what happens is all the time I keep thinking what the other person is thinking about me. Then enters the fear, whether the other person is thinking wrong about me or the other person is going to do something evil to me. Then the fear enters into this fellow, because he is now not standing as real I am. He is only standing as the negative I am. That is why all these things. When you constantly keep experiencing the inner light I am, which is the same in every person, then there will be no fear. This you can know from the examples of the lives of those saints and avatars. You say, for example, once Buddha, Lord Buddha, when he was walking Then there was one fellow, very cruel fellow. His name was Angulimala. This fellow is very ferocious and very cruel that everybody is afraid of even listening to his name. Such fellow is there. His name, he named himself as Angulimala. Mala means garland. Anguli means the finger. Every day he used to kill people and cut the finger of the killed person and make this, put this in his garland of fingers. So every day he wears a garland of fingers of those people whom he have killed. So he's called Angulimala. So nobody dared to go before him because he is such a cruel fellow. One day it happened that Buddha was walking and the Angulimala was there. This fellow is there standing. Buddha was normally walking and going towards this Angulimala. Then this fellow was surprised. Who is this fellow coming to me? Buddha is going nearer and nearer. Then the Angulimala shouted, "Oh, you fellow, who are you coming to me? Don't you know that I am Angulimala?" Buddha smiled. He never speak anything. This fellow was thinking, who is this fellow coming to me? He has no fear that I am a killer. Every day he kills many people. So, I am a killer. This fellow is why he is not afraid of me. Nah. Buddha is smiling and going nearer and nearer. And this Angulimala was very surprised. You fellow, you will be killed by me. But Buddha didn't speak anything. He went nearer to him, looked into his eyes. This Angulimala couldn't know what is happening. Buddha was smiling. After a few minutes, this Angulimala fell on the feet of Buddha. Because just with that presence of few minutes, when Buddha looked into his eyes, all this is gone in this fellow. He could see, he could experience the one light immediately. And then no more he is. Buddha did not specially do anything, he looked into his eyes. Oh, so what is the power of Buddha? No, he has seen himself, his own image in him. Only I am, one I am in him. He has not seen Angulimala. He has seen only the I am, the perceiver. There is the same perceiver there, the one light. So he has no fear. So the other person, Angulimala, has to surrender. So this is not some special power or something. This is the only radiation of that one light, inner light. That is pure love. That is the only thing. That is what you see with such avatars and saints. Maybe Rama or Krishna or Buddha or Christ. This is the power. So therefore, when you stand as this inner light, the real I am, then you have, this is possible only when you are free from the attributes. Guna Vaitrushnyam. So this aphorism is very small, but its meaning is, you have to get into this meaning more and more through your experience. Guna Vaitrushnyam. Purusha Khyate Guna Vaitrushnyam. Tat Param. Param means the higher, the highest. So that is the highest form of non-attachment tat param Purushakhyate. That means from the experience of the one light as Purusha, the real person, Guna Vaitrushnyam, that is possible only by getting away from the thirst for the attributes or gunas. For such person, life is like a play, like a game. Never he feels his life like a problem. You see, when we observe ourselves in our daily life, oh, many problems. Then people think that, oh, God has given me so many problems. God is not a foolish fellow to give you problems. He has no such time, so much time to give every fellow, to give some problems to every fellow. This is wrong belief. This is for those who believe or not believe in God. It makes no difference whether you believe in God or you are not believing in God. It is the same. For such persons, the life is a problem. Otherwise, life is a play. So, when you can practice this, and you can attain this to stand as the inner light, the positive I am, then there will be no tendency to commit suicide or commit any harm to other person. Suicidal or homicidal, killing yourself or killing other person, that will not be there anymore, because you have no fear. You exist only as Ishvara, the Lord consciousness. So Ishvara means, if you ask what is Ishvara, Ishvara means God. Don't make wrong translations. Ishvara means the indweller, the Lord consciousness. Because if you translate as God, then the other person says, nonsense, I don't believe. One person says, I believe very much in God. The other person says, I don't believe in God. Both are same, there is no difference. Whether you believe or don't believe, it makes no difference. So, Ishvara means, Isha means the light, inner light, the indweller, the Lord consciousness. So therefore, what is required is, we have to get out of the thirst for the qualities. This is the secret for us to live without problems. Why we are making problems? We think that problems are created by other persons. No. We create problems ourselves because we dwell according to the attributes with the other persons. That is the reason. If I always remember she is my wife, then the problem starts. Yes, she is my wife, okay. You can enjoy. But always if you think she is my wife, and then starts the problem. So because she is my wife, therefore she has to be like this according to my expectation. Then he is my husband. Then also starts the problem. He should fulfill all my desires because he is my husband. She has to fulfill all my desires because she is my wife. Then is the problem. Then starts all these problems. So who created the problems? It is evident that we have created the problem. Where there is no problem, we have created the problems. You see, unfortunately, because we are not on the yogic path, we grow so wise that we can create problems for us. We have become so intelligent that we can create problems for us. If we are on the yogic path, then slowly we start growing to reach the inner light where no more we create any problems for us and to others. When you live as inner light, you cannot have any problem because you are quite simple like nature. There is no problem. So therefore, guna vaitrishniyam, that is what is explained in this aphorism, in aphorism 15 and 16. In 16, guna vaitrishniyam, losing the thirst for qualities. This is to be applied. You are working you are an employee, for example, in an office, in a company. So you have some work, some task given to you to work. Yes, keep on working. So then, when somebody asks, what for you are working this? Yes, because I get so much of money by the end of the month. So therefore, your mind is attached not to the work what you have to do, but to the amount of money which you receive at the end of the month. So after the month, you keep always calculating how many days are left that I receive my money for my work, my remuneration. So today is 20th, so 10 more days. Tomorrow, 9 more days, 8 more days, count down. And the end of month came, 30th. So tomorrow is 1st of next month. So I will receive my remuneration. Suppose tomorrow is a holiday. So I won't receive anything tomorrow. And for some reason, next day there is some disturbance and the banks are not working or computers are not working. Then one more day you cannot get your remuneration. Then get tension and problem. I have worked all the 30 days of the month, I could not get my remuneration. This is because you remembered only remuneration and not the work you have to do. So therefore, then what happens? Your life is not a play, it is a problem. If you live this life as a play, then you keep doing your work naturally. And when it is time, it will come to you. Then there is no question of tension and all these things. You keep working like a play. Like how the children is playing and they are playing, you also make it a play. Enjoy the play, enjoy your work as a play. If I feel I have to teach this of Patanjali to our friends, and then whether I can teach very good or well or not, then it becomes a problem. But if it is play means every day, yes, it is the same what I am trying to implement, experience. So I am sharing this through this. So it is a play, then there is no tension. So this is what is intended by Patanjali to give us. That is why he has given these aphorisms. So today you may think that we have not made a forward step to next aphorism, but unless we get very much familiarized and getting into the experience through this aphorism with every word. Purusha Khyati, Guna Vaitrishnya, these are only 2 words in this aphorism. But we have to get familiar with the experience, then only we can really get into the next aphorism. We can really appreciate the next aphorism. Otherwise, we cannot appreciate. That is why with these examples from our life, we are trying to realize this, and this is the inner light. So Purusha Khyati and Guna Vaitrishnya. So we will continue in our next week. Meanwhile, let us try every day, let us see ourselves whether we are every day we are working as a play or working as a difficulty with more burden, difficulty, all these things. Let us try to practice this, to make it a play. And then we can realize what is given by Patanjali. Thank you all. Vasudeva.